Voice in your head says, why am I watching this? Hey, welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show, where we look at numbers so that you can know what's going on in Arizona. And more importantly, your knowledge of the numbers makes you a hit at all the cocktail parties. Today, I want to welcome from Southern California, Mr. Jeb Smith. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Hard to complain.
Oh, geez. I had to complain yesterday. I got on and I'm looking on my OBS software where the mic is, nothing's moving. And I'm like, have I been talking to myself? And it was picking up from another webcam, like a Logitech webcam. And after research, this thing went belly up.
Oh.
This is where your mic cable, because I use this mic here, right. And this plugs into this, and then it goes in. And I'm moving the cables and putting this one here and the other one there, and all I can determine is this little $149 part said bye bye. And so
I've filmed entire videos with no mic. So I feel your pain. Yeah.
Well, it's still up there, and it's got just the most irritating echo. It's like, hi. And people still watched it and commented on it. So, well, I'll leave it. You can never make a good video until you make a bunch of terrible ones. So it's kind of
1,000%. I'm still in the terrible video stage. So I feel you.
So Jeb, tell me what part of Southern Cali you're in.
I'm in Orange County. So small town, Huntington Beach, in Orange County, right on the coast, where, for those that aren't familiar with Southern Cal, I think most of the people in your market probably are, but probably about halfway in between LA and San Diego for the most part.
Beautiful area. I like Huntington Beach and I like Irvine.
It's hard to complain, man. We got good weather. I mean, the nice thing about Huntington versus Irvine is that our temperature is about 10 or so degrees less than Irvine most of the year. So we get that breeze off the ocean, which is always nice.
Yeah, sweet deal. I don't like the commutes, but hey, Phoenix is getting there. So
no, for a while, man, during the pandemic, you could get places that took you, 30, 40 minutes in a normal day and 15 or 20 just because of the lack of traffic on the roads. It was awesome, but we're pretty much back to where we were before at this point.
There's the answer. All they have to do out there is just shut down, and then life is good.
Exactly.
So I wanted to get you on because, as you know, Arizona prices are going up like crazy, and it is 100% totally your fault, according to.
That's what everybody's saying.
And I've always asked the question that, okay, if everybody from California is inflating our real estate prices, why is it happening in Arkansas? It's happening in Rhode Island. It's happening in Washington State. So you guys can't possibly be fueling all of these purchases. And then it really begs the question, who's buying your homes?
Yeah. And good question. And as we were talking before, it's a question that I often ask myself. And I think there's a couple of things that happened in 2020 that changed the dynamic, not only of the real estate market, but of migration patterns just in general, right? So you had the ability now for people to work from home. In fact, a really good example we'll talk about here in a minute is actually somebody in my market that past client of mine that's selling their house, and they're moving on the outskirts of Chandler and buying new construction. So they bought the property prior to me ever knowing that they were even leaving, called me and said, hey, Joe, we're listing our house, we're moving. And he's able to keep his job. So he's still working, same company here in Southern California. He can now work from home. Cost of living is a lot less expensive. State taxes, non-existent. Income tax is 4% or so, 5%.
Pretty low.
And even while that's going up, doubling, depending on the income you make, it's still a lot better than here than California. So you've got the ability for people to work from home, which has always been, people having to commute into work. They had to be close to wherever their occupation was. That changed in 2020, and it freed a lot of people up from having to live in a certain market. And I think that was one of the key drivers outside of millennials becoming, prime buying age and starting to enter the market and so on and so forth. So you've got all of these people now that can, that are looking at, say, Southern California prices and going, okay, I can buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot home on a 6,000 square foot lot for $850,000, $900,000 in my market, but they can go to Arizona or Washington State or Texas or Tennessee or wherever it is and buy a property for half that price in some markets. So, it allowed these people that may have never been able to afford a house. Now they can go and not only afford a house, but it may be less expensive just to live in general because now they still have their same income coming in the state of California. So while I don't necessarily think it's just Californians alone driving prices, I mean, you got people moving from New York to the southern states. You got people moving from, all of these different areas. And that alone is what's driving up prices. And now I think California contributes to it. They're definitely, I think probably the majority of buyers coming to your market. And it's because the weather is pretty similar to our weather most of the year. Obviously, you have hotter times of the year and so on and so forth, but the cost of living is a lot less. And so all these people are leaving and taking advantage of that. But the question is, who's buying California real estate?
Yes. Yeah.
And that is a tough question. And we were talking before, you can, there's tools out there. Actually, the National Association of Realtors has one on their website where you can check migration patterns of who's coming into your state and when they're leaving, where are they going? And believe it or not, we actually send the most of Californians mostly move out of state to Texas, but in return, Texas sends the most people back to California. And so we talked about this a moment ago. Is it people getting to Texas and realizing, you know what, this is not what I signed up for. The weather sucks, and this isn't, all it's made up to be. We're going back. Or is it people that are moving, maybe job transfers, maybe different things going on where people are coming back into the state? But on that list of top 5, Arizona is actually one, in that of where we're sending people. Now, I don't remember all the ones sending people back to California, but it's, as many people that are leaving the state, we have as many people coming in for one reason or the other. So it's not like this mass exodus where the population in California is going to be significantly less in a couple of years and prices are going to drop. It's not that at all. It's, there's people leaving, but it will always be desirable to live in Southern California just because of the weather, regardless of what's going on with taxes and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I have, even in my YouTube analytics, huge, if you look at the majority of my viewers are from Arizona, and then number 2 is California.
No, interesting. Yeah,
I was joking a couple of weeks ago because, I don't know how accurate YouTube analytics are when they show how long people watch a video.
Right.
But Texans drop off after 11 seconds, it said. So
does it really?
It can't be accurate because I know we've got a buyer out there that watches these all the time. But I thought I got to get a hat. I mean, it just it comes on there. So we have a live call every Friday with my lender, Pat, and I said, so Pat, the only thing people see in Texas is Happy Friday, Pat, and then they're gone.
Exactly.
But how do people? And my son was asking this question, and one of his friends, first-time home buyers, how do they even get into a house out there?
It's a good question. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and I would say the average age of these home buyers, and it's merely me guessing because I don't know the age of most of these people, are early 30s for the most part.
Yeah, that's what I see here.
Whereas in other parts of the country, it could be early 20s, just because the cost of living is a lot less expensive. But here it's early 30s, and California, for the most part, wage earnings are a lot higher than most other states. So people here, a lot of people earn a good living. And now that doesn't, I think the average income or something I read within the last year is like, in order to afford the median home price here in California, you've got to have 2 people basically combined income or somewhere around 150, 160,000 to even be able to afford entry level housing. And that's gone up substantially in the last year. So it'd be interesting to see what the numbers are now. But, I see people coming in with getting money from parents as gifts oftentimes. I mean, in the last year, I would say I've only had maybe, and this is not fact, this is just me guessing, maybe 2 buyers put less than 10% down in all the transactions I do. And so last year, 23, 24 transactions. This year, I'm on pace to do about 30 or so. So you take those numbers, 50 transactions or so in 2 years, and the majority of those people are putting at least 10% down. So it's not like, FHA loans or people coming in with just no money. I mean, these people actually have down payments. And some of them have money that, we're not really talking about where it comes from, but, they have enough for that down payment. So it's hard to say where it comes from. But I do know, like, friends and family of mine, a lot of times parents are able and willing to help out to get people into housing because they know how important it is. And they see the value in owning homes, and they see the ability to gain appreciation here in California, which is, always helpful, and having that ability to count on those people to help you out.
Well, that is one thing that I'm seeing, and that is that people in their 30s have done an outstanding job of saving their money, despite a few years ago how everybody was saying they're just drowning in student loan debt and they'll never own a home. And then lo and behold, interest rates go down and they just like bust out of their rentals and go, here, I have this money, give me a house. And you're like, wow, I had no idea you guys were saving that much money. But it's you touched on a video yesterday that just is like right where I'm feeling. And that is that, man, we used to be able to say, this house is got a list price of $375. Here's where I think you can come in. And I project it's going to come in from here to there. I'm no longer capable of doing that.
Right. It's tough.
That skill is gone. I can't make sense of it.
No, it's discouraging not only to buyers, like everybody's out there, thinking, oh, realtors, you guys must just be loving this market, hand over fist, you're selling property. Yeah. And that's not the reality. The reality is it's tough. I mean, and it's not woe me, like you should be sad, I'm not over here crying, but it's tough. It's tough to continually give bad news to buyers who have high hopes, feel like they're making strong offers, and they are making strong offers. These are strong offers. These are offers that in any other market would be fantastic offers. And I'm talking buyers with 20% down, 30% down, going well above the asking price in some cases, 10% more in some, and still not even having a shot. And then you have to go back to these buyers and tell them, look, I'm sorry, it's what's happening in the market. And, in fact, I had somebody comment on a video this morning and they're like, you should do a video on how to help people. And I'm like, that would be a great video if I knew how to help people. Like, I don't know what to do other than tell people to stay patient and just stick to your plan, and things will work out. It's, it's one of those things that it's the buyer fatigue is real. It is. It is.
I'm seeing it. Yeah.
And there's realtor fatigue too. I mean, I'm showing 2 sets of clients right now. I've been showing them property for the last 2 months, at least 2 months, maybe longer. I don't remember, every single weekend. I mean, we've probably viewed 100 or more homes, and we've written 20 plus offers, strong offers, and we're still not getting anywhere. And this isn't like, I'm not saying this to discourage people or to, any of that. It's fact. And I think that it's important in this market, like we talked earlier, is, to provide facts to people, right? Sometimes you need to fluff things up. Sometimes you need to come at it at a different approach. But I think in this market, people appreciate what is actually happening in the market because they're not alone, right? If you're a buyer out there and you're not getting your offer accepted, you're not alone. There are a ton of people in the exact same position as you. And it's not misery loves company. This is what's really happening.
Yeah, all you can do is be armed with the information. I mean, I did a video a couple of weeks back called "Realtors Are Not Economists." Right. I mean, people ask us, what do you think is going to happen to the market? Well, we have information that tells us how things are going to go in the next 6 months. That's easy. Right. Just looking at supply and demand. Until supply starts exceeding demand, we're going to be in this knockdown, drag out war. What's going to change that? There's always a million things that can change it. We can have a credit crisis. We can have a black swan event, but we're not ever going to know that. I mean, I can't look out and say banks are going to freeze in 6 months and everything will be, prices will come crashing down. Right. Well, if prices come crashing down, like everybody thinks there's going to be a crash, chances are now you don't have a job.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
And so you can't buy, or you'd be really rich from 2008. But I mean, I just saw a thumbnail today that said rising rates, home prices crashing. And I just laughed at myself. And I think I see you and I sitting in a bar having a beer about 10 years ago. And, 10 years from now saying, remember when interest rates went from 2.7 to 3.1 and it killed the market?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, the reality though, Rick, is that the truth doesn't sell on YouTube, right? It doesn't, people, it's not clickable. It's not fun. It's not interesting. It doesn't feed the agenda of a lot of people out there that want to see the crash, right? I mean, there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. I mean, I know friends and family that have been sitting on the sidelines for 8 years thinking that home prices are going to, and they continue to climb, and they've yet to pull the trigger. And what I tell people all the time, I said, with the amount of demand that you have right now on the sidelines, what do you think would happen if prices drop 10%? People, they wouldn't be able to get there because there would be so many buyers. Every property that would come on less than market would get purchased. It just could not happen with the amount of demand out there. Now, if you come in and say interest rates are going to go to 5%, and well, then yeah, that could change. But I mean, what we know right now, facts, if we're talking facts, is that the Fed has basically come out and said we're going to keep the Fed funds rate at or near zero through 2023. And in fact, in their last meeting last Wednesday, in the notes, they have more or less confirmed their thoughts on keeping rates low, the consensus of the group, through 2023. Now, that doesn't tie to interest rates directly, but what we do know is that bonds typically follow that of the Fed. And so, and at the same time, we know that the government has issued how many trillions in relief right now? 5 or so trillion is what
Correct.
we're at.
Yeah.
And with the national debt, I mean, we're going to be at 30 trillion here soon enough. They have to service that debt, and it's based off them selling bonds. So they can't let it go too far. Otherwise, the cost to service that debt goes up. And let's be honest, they're there to keep that as low as possible because it costs them more money. And that, along with if they allowed rates to go up, yeah, it would create more issues. I mean, the reality is rates are low for a reason. It's because we went through an economic crisis where people weren't able to work. Things were shut down. There were a lot of businesses in jeopardy, and they had to do certain things in order to revive the economy. And they did that. And now it's created other issues to some extent.
And then you wonder how they're going to wind out of it.
No, interesting.
When's that going to happen?
And then the thing is, I hear often is that, 2020 or the pandemic created the low supply. Not true. We've had low supply, continually going down.
Yeah,
exactly. Even less than that here in Southern California. I mean, we've been seeing less and less supply over and over, year after year. And coming into 2020, we had the least amount of supply that had been on the market in quite some time. And then pandemic happened, and it just, accentuated what was already an issue. And here we are now with, I don't know what the supply is in your market, but here it's about 1.7, 1.9 months of supply. So even if supply doubled, we went from 20, and I'm talking as a whole, I'm talking, Orange County. If we went from 2,500 homes, and I'll keep in mind, Orange County, 3.4 million people. There's 2,500 or so homes on the market. 2,500, 3.3. I mean, it's crazy. Think of the numbers there. If supply doubled, you're still not even at, it would have to double 3 or 4 times in order to come to a balanced market.
Yeah, we're nuts. We're only 4,100 homes available right now, and that includes condos and townhomes. And I track what I call the 7-day moving average.
Right.
And so we have 4,000 homes hit the market on average every 7 days, and 4,000 to 4,100 homes come under contract. For a while there, we were trending that we were eating up about 250 homes more than what were coming on. And I said, if this trend continues, in 16 weeks, we'll run out of houses.
That's interesting. And so what's it doing lately?
It's same. It's just, it's almost like there's a group of people out there and 4,000 of them, and they gobble up the new the new listings that came up. And there's a guy directing them and going, okay, next group, there's 4,000. Okay. Contract out. Next group. It's weird how the number is remaining in that range from 39 to 42 every week.
It is interesting. And so who are your buyers? So Californians, obviously a lot of out-of-state buyers, but I'm sure you have move-up buyers, right? You have people that are changing, families are growing. They need a bigger property. What other states are coming in? Like, what are you seeing?
Well, I'm seeing a mix of things. On other states, obviously California. Just wrote one this week for Seattle. One from Chicago, and then Denver, Texas, West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
And then the millennials here who, when you think about it, you're paying this exorbitant rent in a luxury condo, right? And you've got a gym and you got a pool and you got a great clubhouse and this great barbecue area and, and they have parties and everything. And now all of a sudden you can't use any of that stuff.
Yep.
So those people like, I'm getting a house. I don't care if it's a little small, little 2 or 3 bedrooms somewhere. It's got a backyard. We can, our dog can go out there, and pets are more important now than ever. And so that market's on fire. Well, now it's reached the point where they've made that decision that they want to go out, and, and I get emails all the time, Rick, I want to see this house. And it's been on the market 3 days. It's already gone. Or I want to go see this tomorrow. Okay. How much should I write the offer for? I don't know. I mean, what are you comfortable with? Because right now it's got a list price of $375. All I can do is read you the statistics, and the statistics in that price range, I'll look it up by zip code. I'll give you an example of one. Says in this zip code, 83% of the homes are going up over list price. The contracts are accepted, right? Out of that 83% in the price range between 300 and 400,000, the average offer price is 25,000 more than list. Well, then if it's an average, then you mean you got some 40s in there, right?
Right. Yeah.
So all I can do is present that to the buyer and go, here's what's going on in this zip code. Here's how many are going over list. And here, with the exception of the over 55 communities.
Interesting.
There's no bidding wars there. Very little. And so it's quite, you got a couple of questions here I want to touch on real quick.
Yep.
One says, are you seeing an increase in the number of sellers accepting cash offers? Quantity of cash offers increasing?
I'm not really. Well, it's hard to say, right? Because I'm on the buying side and the selling side. So I recently had a property that I sold that we sold to a cash offer. It was $1 million. It's a $990 list price. $1 million cash offer came in. We actually had an offer higher than the million cash, and they went with the cash not because it was cash. They went with it because that they knew that she had grandkids around the way and what have you. So there were some things going on there that they felt emotional tie to, and so they went that direction. But no, I mean, not really. I would say that my experience is they're not any more common than they were prior to. We've always had cash offers in our market, but I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary. Now, I only have 3 or 4 listings, maybe 5 at a time for the most part. I'm a single guy over here, not a team. So I probably don't see what, in the bigger picture. But as far as buyers I'm working with right now, all the buyers are getting loans. So, no, not really.
And over here, we are seeing more cash. It's coming from.
And do you think it's because people are selling and they have the equity from previous property?
Correct. Yeah. Yes, that's what they're getting at. And in the high end market, of course, if the stock market's good, they're cashing out and coming to Paradise Valley and Scottsdale. And so the other question is, where is the hottest market in Southern California? It's kind of like, where isn't it, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think that's, Southern California, I mean, it's hard to say. Like in my market, I say my market, I'm talking, I'm in Huntington Beach. I probably do 70% of my business in Huntington Beach, the other 30% throughout Orange County and Long Beach. And all of these markets are insane. I wouldn't say that one is hotter than the other per se. I think it just really depends on the price point. The markets that have that 700 to 850 homes still coming on the market is probably, where the hottest homes are or where the hottest sales are happening, just because it's a price range that is more affordable for the majority of people out there. And that might seem crazy to a lot of people watching this, but that's our market. I mean, you take areas like Long Beach, for example. Lakewood is an example in Long Beach where, a year and a half ago, maybe longer than that now, you could get a single family home, 3-bedroom, 1-bath. These were built in the early 50s in a lot of cases, raised foundation, but they're on decent sized lots for California, 7,000 square foot lots in a lot of cases. And these houses were selling in the fives. Today, those same houses are 800,000. And you can't get one. I mean, it's incredible how, and this started prior to right at the beginning of the pandemic. I was showing some people property in that area. And at that time they were listing in the 6s, selling in the high 6s, maybe low 7s. Those same houses now are in the 8s. It's just incredible what has happened. And I think the majority of price points that are moving very, very quickly are the ones that meet probably that median price for most people, which is it's hard to say because you don't know who your buyers are. But we even have a luxury. I mean, the luxury market here is, what I would say 2 million and above is really luxury. That stuff is selling in days. It's not just first time home buyers or what have you. It's happening in all price points.
Well, we have a week and a half supply of homes in most markets. In fact, there were 2 zip codes. Get this. There were 2 zip codes 2 weeks ago that had no listings. And there's an area.
How many homes are in that zip code?
Oh, God.
I mean, that's incredible.
Well, there's an area down in Ocotillo where I used to live, and I just drew a line around it and tracked it. Because, I mean,
Right.
That's where you ride your bike, hang out. They always had 85 to 95 homes consistently. South of there in the over 55 community, in Sun Lakes, they always, this time of year, have between 125 and 150 listings. Okay. So they have 15 in Sun Lakes.
Wow.
Ocotillo, you know how many they have?
5, 4. I mean, that's all you can do is laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I go home every day and I tell my wife a new story. And I'm always surprised. And people are like, at some point, like you got to, it's no, like I have a business coach, right? And every time he's like, this is the new norm. Like, it is what it is. At some point, it's no longer, you're no longer shocked by it. It's just but I am shocked by it every time because.
Well, we will eventually return to the means. We just don't know
we will.
when. I mean, this is a demographic issue more than it is any other contributing factor. Baby boomers stand put. Millennials are fighting for the same house that the baby boomers don't want to sell. Construction's trying to keep up, but they got hit with the pandemic. Now they're hit with high lumber prices. They're running out of land. It's just, it's all of that. And so how does that shake out? I don't know. That's why I say we're just going to watch the numbers every week and see what happens. We got a question here. It says, if you're from Southern California and want to buy a home in Arizona, which state should you get the pre-approval letter? That depends on your lender. There are many lenders that are licensed in several different states. Right. So I have one now there where their lender is from Kansas City, but they all have to fill out the Arizona pre-qualification form. It's a very specific form that has to be filled out, and they won't accept, they have to be presented for every offer, but they won't accept like your average Word doc that says, Rick's qualified for this. It has specific check marks.
Interesting. Yeah, we don't have anything like that here, but as Rick mentioned, if you have a lender that just lends in the state that they're in, obviously you want the pre-approval in Arizona if you're looking to buy in Arizona.
Yeah. And but your lender could be from anywhere. So, but you just have to ask them, are you licensed in Arizona? And then the most important question is, do you answer your phone?
Yeah, no, that's a huge, in this market, it's incredible. Like it just, you could submit an offer that's, what you feel is like a super strong offer. You call the agent, did you get my offer? Text them, did you get my offer? No response. And all of a sudden it's pending in the MLS. And you're like, what? Like,
Yeah.
no
That's
response.
every day. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I had one
it's the
last
lack
night.
of integrity and in this business is, I'm not here to talk, crap on fellow realtors, but it's the lack of professionalism in this market is in any market is bad, but in this market, it's way worse.
Well, some of them are just so swamped that I can't blame them. I mean, talked to one gal last week. She goes, "My phone's blowing up. I literally begged my sellers, let's take this home off the market on Sunday. I can't take it."
No, I
She says,
get it,
"Wait,
but I mean, that's,
but you can
I,
still answer the phone."
no, I get it. People are busy, like for example, Matt, the mortgage guy. I don't know if you know him, has a YouTube channel up in
Yes.
Sacramento. He's on the mortgage side, obviously.
Yeah.
They talked yesterday about a house that had 121 offers.
Uh,
121 offers.
how do you even sort through that?
I have no idea, but I mean, the reality is you're the listing agent. Your responsibility is to talk, to pick up your phone. And if you need to have somebody help you, then it is what it is. I mean, that's just, I'm not crying tears over here for people that are super busy. I mean, it's one of those
Yeah,
things.
get an assistant.
Absolutely. It's, if it's tough to do your job properly when the other side isn't there to, I mean, it's not like you're asking, hey, what's the price? Like, where do I need to be or whatever? You're just trying to get basic information. When are you presenting offers? When are you doing X or Y or whatever, just so you can tell your clients, hey, this is what's going on. And you can't even get that information. It's just tough. It's,
Well, everybody wants a text, and that's, but then I'm noticing that there's teams out there, and teams have a team phone number.
oh, interesting.
So you can't text them, and then when you call them, nobody picks up, but you have to leave a message on there, and because it's ABC team. There's 15 people there, and then somehow that message gets rolled out to one of the team members, and then they call you back. Now I've had that twice on two teams, and it's worked. They've called me back, so that part's good. So I'm not unhappy with that. I don't expect people to pick up right when I call. So because sometimes I'll look and I'll see a listing and I'll just text multiple offers ? Which is really kind of a silly question because
No,
they're all multiple
exactly.
offers. But I like to talk to the listing agent, and it's not as effective now as it used to be. But I always like the first question out before I write an offer that says, "Is there anything besides price that your sellers are looking for that would
Absolutely.
help them influence the decision?" That's an important question because sometimes they're going to go, "Well, they want a quick close," or you know what, they'd really like a longer close, or maybe a lease back, or you never know what it is. And
No.
I love those. So, okay, now I don't have to compete solely on price. I can maybe hit some terms, and that's helped me in the past. But now I saw Redfin had a study that came out that said cash offers increase your ability to get your offer accepted 5 times, at a 5 times rate, and that terms and everything now don't matter. In other words, that phone call I used to make,
Yep.
statistically, you still don't stand a chance.
But I agree with that, but I also disagree. I think there's a lack of education on the realtor side in being able to present offers to their clients, to sellers. And I see it all the time, whether it's an FHA offer or a VA offer or a cash offer, they don't know how to explain the difference in those offers and the pros and cons of each one of them. The cash offer isn't always the best offer, especially for if your client the time frame's not important and one pays more money than the other or gets them more money. I mean, there's
cash offer doesn't always stick either, right?
Exactly. I mean, there are things that can go wrong in any book of business. And what I would say is it's price is important, but it's also important to have somebody on the other side that knows how to do their job, that, when things get rough, if they do, you got two people that are willing to work together to come to a resolution versus somebody willing to bail out because maybe they're uneducated in doing their job. I mean, there's just, again, I talk about this all the time. There's the barrier to entry, at least here in Southern California, is very, very low. And you can get your real estate license today and you can sell a house tomorrow. That's, that there's a problem with that, in my opinion. And with that, you know, in a market right now where, you know, everybody knows a realtor, at least here in Southern California. I think there's 20 something thousand realtors here in Orange County alone. And so
we're at the same ratio. Yeah.
Everybody knows a real estate agent. Now, not everybody knows a professional real estate agent. They just have their friend, family, whatever. And this is the time of, you know, when everybody comes out of the woodwork and wants to sell property, because it seems like, you know, it's easy, and it can be easy to some extent, but you know, it's, if you're doing it right, it's probably not easy, especially in a market where you're getting multiple offers and what have you, and trying to, you know, get your client the highest and best price, not just the highest, but the best.
Yeah. For the while, the trend was to act like the guys on TV and you're just a great negotiator on price. And it's like, price is only a small portion of the transaction. And the most important thing in that transaction is to make sure that you've established a working relationship with the other agent right off the bat, so that you have a reputation of good communication, because you want to be able to communicate bad news early. And you want to be able to know if they're having issues on their end. And so you don't want it to where when that agent calls, you're looking to go, oh God, it's that guy. You know, so you have to establish that right away. I was in a class once where an agent stood up and said, the other agent is not your friend. And I just wanted to throw a brick at him. You know, or what they did to President Bush in Iraq, my shoe, you know, it's like, how do you start that way? So, yeah, it's tough business. It's fun business when there's nothing better than get somebody an offer accepted and
1,000%.
And you get to watch them jump. I mean, this Saturday was fun for me because these were friends from high school, and we got the first offer, and it was over 55. There was no competition. Beautiful home, loved it. And so she likes to text a lot. So I sent a text of a GIF that, you know, congratulations and everything. And I just said, welcome to Arizona. They're moving down, and
that's awesome.
You know, that makes it worth it. So that part's fun. So, well, Jeb, I know you got a busy day and you got to take on the world, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on and answering some of our questions here, and you know, just really comparing markets. I think it lets us all feel like we're not in it alone.
Agreed.
You know, every state is putting up with this, and it's eventually going to go away. But I can't tell you when.
No, that's the thing. I heard something yesterday. It's hard to see, you know, what's going on when you're right in the middle of it. And, you know, there'll be clarity at some point. It just, you know, I think we got a little time before things do slow down. But, you know, it's crazy out there. Just, you know, continue to stick to your plan and don't get caught up in the craziness of the market. And I think you'll be fine.
Sounds great. Jeb, thanks a bunch.
Absolutely.
Talk to you
Appreciate
soon.
it, Rick. Absolutely, man.